Good morning, gang. Happy Saturday morning. All right, so let's get into this. This one's kind of all over the place. There's a big misnomer in the American public that the Biden administration is using Orwell's 1984 as a playbook and, as opposed to a piece of fiction. And I really don't see that as the instruction manual he's using. It sure seems to me that it's a little bit more like Mein Kampf that Biden's using, okay? Because, after all, he is a tyrannical fascist, wants government control of everything. He's the ultimate decision maker. All these public-private partnerships, that's fascism. So all these Antifa guys out there, they're bitching about the wrong side. They're actually pro-Tifa, okay, if they're supporting Biden. A lot of interesting stuff came out yesterday, being the first of the month, about defending yourself. And, I want to get into a few things here. First off, let's talk about ammo. All of a sudden, we're hearing stories all over the place out of Federal, out of Remington, out of, any of the ammo manufacturers. There's going to be a shortage next year. There's not enough ammo. Why? Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Maybe, speculating here, but maybe are we going back to what happened, 10 years ago or so, where the government was buying all the ammo so there was none available for the civilian population? Don't know. That could be the reason. You're hearing these stories in Europe that, one ammo manufacturer is short on brass, another one's short on primers, another one's short on lead. And, legally, they've all got a agreement that they need to share assets to keep production up. Now, obviously, that's for the military, but what do these ammo manufacturers do? They make their military lots, and then they make more so they can sell to the public. But just an FYI, we're coming into a point now where we're being told there's going to be a shortage next year. You want to start buying Christmas presents? Boxes of ammo would be a good place to start. Okay. But let's go into it a little even further about how bad this is starting to get with George and his Hitler-esque ideas. Okay. I know so many people say, but the Communist Manifesto, trust me, he's using that one too. Okay. But those are on Joe's must-read list, the Communist Manifesto and Mein Kampf. That's where he's getting his marching orders from. So, yesterday, and I want you to understand this, right? Okay. Yesterday, the Justice Department, Merrick Garland's cast of clowns, okay, announced a new rule to amend ATF regulations and expand the definition of a firearms dealer to include anybody that sells even one gun. Think about that. You want to sell a gun to your neighbor. You bought a new rifle and you want to put it on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or something or wherever and sell it. One, private sales. The Justice Department has now said that the ATF rule says you have to have an FFL license. Now, I want somebody to answer me this question real quick. Can you please point out in the Constitution where it says that the ATF is a legislative body? Legislative, in other words, makes the law. No, you can't, because the ATF has absolutely zero authority to do this. Yet the Justice Department, whose responsibility it is to make sure that every American lives under the law, failed again. Not a big surprise. Merrick Garland wouldn't know the law if it hit him, was glued to a baseball bat and hit him in the face. And remember, this is the guy that Obama wanted to be on the Supreme Court, okay? But the guy has no clue about what the law is. The ATF does not write laws. However, they posted this yesterday, or not posted, but I mean, it got posted as well. But this is what they did. And I want you to read the highlighted portion that I've got in there. Quote, thus, even a single firearm transaction or offer to engage in a transaction, when combined with other evidence, may be sufficient to require a license. No. Sorry. This piece of paper has about as much value as used toilet paper. Okay? The ATF does not have the authority to do this at all. The funny part is the loony left jumped all over this and, as usual, didn't think past the tip of their nose. Y'all remember Gabby Giffords? Okay, she was the Arizona Congresswoman, Mark Kelly's wife, that, oh God, what was this? Probably 12, 13 years ago now, was shot by one of her supporters, believe it or not, by a Democrat. Okay, I've said a million times, you want gun control in this country, we can solve 99% of the gun crimes in this country by prohibiting liberals from owning weapons. Because if you look at pretty much every shooting, it's done by a liberal. They don't realize that. But the Giffords organization, the Uber gun control lobby, okay, basically said the quiet part out loud. I want you to look at this. This is a tweet they put out yesterday. ATF HQ just announced a new rule, the one I just told you about, that moves us closer to universal background checks than we've ever been. Okay? Said the quiet part out loud. This isn't about getting you to register as an FFL, as a dealer. Okay? This is about a registration of guns, that everybody has to have that the government needs to know who owns what. I talked the other day about personal property tax, okay, in Chicago that was tried about 60 years ago. And basically the people in Chicago said, not opening the door, sorry. Okay. Remember that video about 6 months ago where the ATF showed up on one guy's door and no warrant, no nothing, knocked on the door, guns, they had guns, said, we want to see all your weapons. And the guy said no, and they dragged him out of the house. Remember that? Okay. Warrantless. Okay. That's what this is leading to. If we have a national gun registry where they know what you have, what comes after that? The next thing comes confiscation, which of course is the reason I say that Joe is using Mein Kampf, because what was one of the first things Hitler did? He disarmed the public of Germany so they couldn't fight back. Anybody remember what happened after that? Especially if you were Jewish. Okay. You got put in a 15-minute city, more commonly known back at that time as a ghetto. Okay. And your lifespan was not exactly long. So that's where we've got this going on with what Biden's trying to do. We're seeing an ammo shortage, which is Joe's got his sticky little fingers in, or all of the Democrat Party does, trying to make sure that the people can't feed anything. And now they're going to say, well, we don't want anybody to sell any weapons that we don't know about. We want to know where every one of them is. Okay. Mind you, reading what that said, it didn't just say selling. It said offer to sell. Okay. If you go put something on the grocery store bulletin board that says 1911 for sale, you're now, in the ATF's mind, a criminal. However, because there's always a but, okay, the ATF's track record for winning is about as good as Charlie Sheen's. Okay. Also yesterday, on another ATF rule that is completely illegal, they got shot down. Okay. You guys maybe heard about the story of the rare breed trigger. This is the thing, the alternate trigger you could pop into an AR-15 that does a reset on the trigger so you can actually fire it faster. Okay. The ATF tried to say, oh, they're machine guns when you put this in. Well, yeah. Federal judge yesterday said, sorry, your tyrannical overreach is not constitutional. And so rare breed triggers is now allowed to continue to sell these. Now, it's still limited. Right now we're talking about just the 3 plaintiffs that are okay. But again, let's talk about what we had go on with bump stocks. Oh, by the way, ATF, you lost that one too. Okay. Again, this comes into the fact that every time the Biden administration, the ATF, the Department of Justice, makes one of these unconstitutional rules, it is not law. The ATF has no authority, absolutely zero, to make a law. There is no authority to enforce them, except Merrick Garland and the Department of Justice are illegally, completely contrary to what their mission is, illegally enforcing an unconstitutional rule. I've said it before. This is the whole modus operandi, of the Biden administration. We'll start doing something, and we'll do it for 6 months, waiting for this to work through the court system till they tell us we can't. But they don't get those 6 months back. And if somebody was arrested, they've spent 6 months in jail. If somebody had to pay for a lawyer, they don't get their money back, yada, yada, yada. This is what they're trying to do, all right? They all know Biden, Harris, Pelosi, Schumer, Garland, you name it, Comey, anybody. Okay, not that he's got anything to do with anything anymore anyway. Merrick Garland, the whole 9 yards. They all know what they're doing is unconstitutional. They're just playing the game of, we'll do it as long as we can until they come and slap our hands. Okay? Now, I'm sorry. If I'm the Supreme Court, my recommendation is, because the Supreme Court doesn't have the authority to do this, my recommendation to the U.S. Congress, will you have a attorney general who doesn't know the law? You might want to remove him from office. There's an idea. Mind you this is exactly what we can expect with everything going forward. There's going to be a mandate until it comes up that the Supreme Court says it's unconstitutional. But by then, you can't take the toothpaste or you can put the toothpaste back in the tube. Okay. There's going to be that mandate. And how many people are going to get sick from that? We're going to have them come over and over and over again. This is the Biden game plan. Just like it's the DNC's game plan for Joe and his impeachment and the rhino that is Kevin McCarthy. They're going to drag this out long enough to the point where, it's not important anymore. Joe's not the candidate, or Joe didn't get reelected, or we're too close to the end of Joe's presidency, or whatever it's going to be. This is the thing. You need to have what you need now, whether that's more ammo, whether it's whatever, okay? Whether you need to get a little friend for your hip. But when they're trying to violate the law and rewrite the law, even though they don't have the authority to do so, that's tyranny. That's fascism. That's the Biden administration. Pinball out.